Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video we are going to be introducing a brand new segment, and I want your feedback. What do you think? Do you like it? Would you like to keep practicing it? You let me know, but we'll get to that in one moment. First, let's start off with our question, which is all about yes or no to any single question you have. So feel free to enjoy this updated video a couple times. Ask ask a couple different questions. I will say this though, I think that it helps, actually, I know that it helps if you're incredibly specific with the question. What I mean by that is, do you ever run into that position? Please let me know in the comments below, where you ask a question and then someone, when they reply to you yes or no, you're like, yes, this, or do you mean yes to that? You want to phrase it in such a way where when you receive the yes or no answer, and potentially maybe, you will not be confused. You're like, okay, yep, I asked this or this, it's this, very clearly. So make sure you're incredibly specific when you do ask, and have fun asking a bunch of different questions over time. Anyway, so the segment that I'm introducing, and I want to know what you guys think, is I was thinking about the power of the mind and how that if like a group of people are all focusing on the same concept, it's even more powerful to make it happen, to manifest it. And so I thought, you know what? This is fantastic practice, because when you practice manifesting, you get better at it. So this is an excuse to practice manifesting. It also takes away the drama behind it. Sometimes we only focus on manifesting what we deeply, deeply want, and we will do that occasionally. But I want to talk about and show the idea that manifestation can be for smaller ideas or random ideas, and just get you regularly practicing it, enjoying it, and that if we all come together, we can really put it out into the universe and all benefit from the same idea. And for funsies, we're going to kind of sit in the idea of the manifestation for like 2 minutes. So we're going to pick the idea. We're all going to sit and manifest it together, all putting our thoughts towards it. And if you give me permission to, so you say, yes, I allow Supermoon to give me Reiki, I'm going to simultaneously send you guys Reiki to make that pathway stronger and more open to it. So let me know what you guys think. Today, we're going to take a second right now. We're going to just take 2 minutes. And we're all going to manifest together that individually we will receive $500 as soon as possible. Today, we're going to put it out there. It's happening right now. So you're going to repeat after me what I'm going to say. Then you're going to sit in silence holding that idea while I send you Reiki. Again, you have to give me permission to do that. And then we're going to go back to the reading. Okay, so repeat after me. I have $500. It was incredibly easy for me to receive this $500. I accept easily that I have received this $500. Okay, you guys did amazing, and I'm so happy that you've already received your $500. And if you enjoy Reiki, I'm actually coming out with a Reiki course relatively soonish. And if you just want to enjoy some more Reiki and coding, I do it all the time over there on my Patreon, which also, if you're interested, it's a great way of supporting the channel. And fun fact, I just posted a brand new video, and this is really fun. And it's about water healing. This is something that has existed a long time, and in this first video, we go into the initial breakdown of one kind of water healing. It's really interesting because I'll give you a little sneak peek, but one form developed into the next kind of water healing and so on and so forth. So this is going to be a multi-video thing of expanding and teaching it and talking about it. So if you're interested in that, feel free to come learn about it over on Patreon and practice it yourself. Anyway, so back to our question at hand, the yes or no. I want you to think about your question. Remember, you want to be really specific. We have groups 1 through 8, and the way they're numbered is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to give you a moment to pick the group, sit with the question and then pick the group that you feel resonates with it most, starting now. All right, I am so excited. Let's get into all of this, starting with group number 1. Group number 1, let's get started. We have got the 7 of Wands in reverse, the Page of Pentacles upright, and the High Priestess upright. Okay, give me just 1 second to look at all of these details. Okay, so we have in this initial picture somebody being given a coin. This man gives this other man like money to say like, here, do something with this, create something more with it. It's all about that initial investment in the long run. So there is some consideration there. There's a moment of pause of going, okay, I've got this opportunity. I'm happy. I can see right now I'm being given a moment to change my course or have this expand. There's also like a sense of maturity behind this whole perspective because the page understands that the money is not going to be flowing in a greater value back to them right away. It's going to take a second. But there is this excitement about the future of what they got now and how it's going to expand over time. So the question now occurs to them of, well, how am I going to make this investment? And we have two different possibilities. On one hand, we have the High Priestess, and this is like really sound advice they're following. This is kind of like, how do I say this? An investment that has been made by many others over a long period of time. It would be something maybe the rest of the general public overlooks, but on the DL for people who are smart with where they put their time and attention, it really adds up. It's really sound advice, so to speak. It's coming from a very wise perspective. So it's definitely not something that it's the new hot idea. And what I mean by that is, so let's talk about investment legitimately. Like if you actually got into like stocks and stuff like that. There are various TV shows where people give their opinion and attention, but they're only popular right now. And they only have this TV show at this moment. But there might be a wiser person that isn't super well known, but has a longer, more compelling history in the subject of investment. That's where that attention goes. So it's like you're seeking them out and you get the gist. But then over here, we have the 7 of Wands, which takes a totally different spin on it. It's very much a wasteful perspective. Not as in you made a bad investment, but it's a very much not believing in themselves. So over here we have confidence and then just totally not believing in themselves. There's a feeling of waste where either the money gets wasted because you allow others to take it. Like they see the potential and they talk you into taking it. And you can even foresee that they're doing it. So you just kind of let it happen because maybe you just don't trust yourself enough, or you just kind of give it away because you already believe that you're kind of nervous about what to do with it and where to go. And we have totally two different attitudes. But my spirit guide was making a really interesting point, and this is when we come to the answer of all of this, which is the answer is no to this question. Because in both perspectives, the belief is that the investment needs to be made either from the opinion of someone else or not believing your own opinion. There is like a separation between believing in investing in oneself through one's own opinion. So it's like a combination of these two. So it's like, this is the confidence, but you're looking for the advice from someone else. So you would want to take the advice from yourself and have the confidence. And then over here, there's the taking advice from yourself, but it's not good advice because it comes from a place of distrusting yourself. So this is about trusting yourself. So the answer is this feeling of like, no, because it's coming from the wrong place. You're not asking from the right place. You're asking from an outside perspective. You're not seeing the main problem is the way you're sort of approaching it, is the best way I can say. And again, you can always change that by changing the approach, being confidence in oneself, trusting your own self, changing the circumstance. But this is a good way to realize that this is a secret no. It's like, you just think you just move one path or another and not realize the blaring problem, which is it should all come from you. So yeah, that's the group number 1. Then we have, we have 4 of Pentacles upright. Oh, wow. 4 of Pentacles in reverse. You always want to pay attention to when cards repeat. Then we have the Devil card upright. Because when the cards repeat, I talk about this in my tarot course, it's basically the universe and the cards shouting at you that this is an important idea. So give me a second to look at that important idea, and I will come back to you in one moment. Interesting. This is a really good example of how the universe surprises us. It's always important to not get too much in a very black and white type of perspective. And sometimes things that are unexpected and may appear negative can have a lot of positive influence, ironically. So we want to look first at the Devil card, which is representing this idea of temptation. And it's very clear that sometimes this position people can be in can come from them, like they're seeking it out, but sometimes they are being allured by whatever it is. The way it was described to me by my spirit guide is this is just something that would be a bad idea in the long run and not add up in a good way, essentially. So this could be anything from like a habit to a relationship to an investment to sometimes it can be like a practice that you think is a good idea. Like maybe you're in this headspace of being like, I'm gonna just work a ton, and not realizing you're not working smarter rather than hard, or you're working harder rather than smarter. You get the gist. And this kitty, because the way it was described to me is that it looks unsuspecting like a cute cat would be, right? And so you feel broadened by it. It's almost unsuspecting that it's bad for you initially. You don't have to look too far into it to realize that it is. And that this temptation is the one pulling out to you rather than you seeking it out on your own. Sorry. I'm just trying to fight off a little bit of a cough. So anyways, going forward, then we have over here this really interesting perspective of the past mixed with the present and where it ends up leading, and this is where it leads to the answer. So in the Four of Pentacles, we can see some in reverse, we can see somebody who at one point put in like they made the wrong choice by overgiving. And this could be anything from boundaries to money to time to energy to favors, whatever it is, their general person. And with it being in reverse, this is the really awesome mindset they take on where they're like, I am going to sort myself out by taking back what I previously gave shamelessly in a positive way. So it's like they go up to someone and they said, I know I said you could do that, but you can't do that anymore. And the other person's like, but you said I could. And they're like, well, I'm putting this boundary up. I'm taking back my boundary. Too bad. And they just kind of go around their life sorting it out and taking back that money people owe them, saying, hey, I know I said I was available. I'm not available anymore. I'm off on weekends or whatever. You get the gist. It's interesting because over here we have in the past a version of you that made decisions out of fear. And we have both of these kind of hinting to the subtext of both. Like there were times when you were over holding on to your resources, so to speak. And remember, resources are anything from your time, energy, boundaries. We're kind of keeping it pretty open here with a yes or no situation. And kind of holding on to it because the fear was like, what if I need it someday? And being stingy in a way that, costed you, like you missed out on opportunities or fun social experiences or being like emotionally open or something like that. But then at other times, it was like you were nervous about how people would respond. And so that's then at other times you were overgiving with your boundaries, overgiving with your energy. And it was kind of like a mixed bag between the two, both motivated out of fear. Now, the beautiful part is this kind of kicked you in a different mindset is the best way I could explain it. It like jogged your memory. It motivated you. It initially pulled you into a bad direction for like a second, brought you into a possibility of where you could go. You saw it and you were like, wait a minute, I don't like this. This isn't a good idea. And it put you in a totally different headspace where you realized you didn't have to overgive or overhold back. And so what initially seemed like you were going to go down another bad route was just enough to kind of bring back your, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like when you see more value in yourself and realize, you know what? I'm going to realize I'm not being stingy if I need to put up, again, we use the term boundaries, just really feels like it's coming to the surface of me. And on the other hand, you're more insightful of being aware of when you do want to participate. But the biggest thing was you needed to feel like you were in control of whatever that be giving or of pulling back. And it's very empowering by the act of having had given it away and then taking it back, that you find that middle ground of what works for you and understanding your worth and then practicing that with others around you. So the answer to this question is yes. And I love this. This was definitely like a learning experience that turned out really positive. So I love this. So let's now move on to group number 3. Group number 3. Let's see what we got here. We have the Emperor in reverse, the Six of Pentacles upright, and a very interesting Two of Swords upright. Give me one moment to look at everything, and I'll be with you in a moment. Oh, I just realized, there we go. Okay, so in the Six of Pentacles, we have showing you showing making lots of money. So good on you, and you're just trying to figure out now, essentially, like, and remember, this is all metaphorical. We are keeping this pretty open with the yes or no, so we're just more looking at the visuals of the images. Keep that in mind. But we have you showing you, okay, we made a bunch of money, Now, what do we do? What do we do now that I've accumulated this stuff? So we have over here a decision needing to be made of where you put it, where you're going to spend it. You get the gist. But the interesting thing here is it takes you a second to realize that when you're making these decisions, you're being influenced by outside forces. This could be anything from people giving their 2 cents and being like, you should listen to my advice. No, you should listen to my advice. But sometimes it's like the temptation of something kind of getting in your face, and it's like a repeating video concept over and over and over again you keep seeing, and so it's like tempting you of being like, oh yes, put your money over here, this is where it should go, kind of thing. And either way, you're aware you want to do something with it. You're excited that you created this fortune, as we talked about, but it hits you that this decision isn't going to be your own if you let others influence it. And that's what's so cool about the Emperor in Verse. This is you realizing, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I don't want to be controlled. I made this money, so clearly I know what to do with it. And this is when you realize, okay, I'm going to invest it the way I want to invest it. I'm going to spend it the way I want to spend it. I'm aware that I should be mindful if I am being influenced heavily by outside forces, and that the decision should be my own, and that being out of that influence and constantly acknowledging what I've done and continuing that idea after you've, created what you've created, and then taking it to the next level, keeping it still within house, you could say, within yourself, you're the house, is then what gives us the answer of yes. So I love that for you. So now let's look at group number 4. Okay. Give me a second. We have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, the 10 of Pentacles in reversed, and we have the Page of Swords in reverse. Let's look at this. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. In the Page of Swords in reverse, we see an individual who has decided to walk a different path than what they normally thought they could accomplish. That's the best way I can view it. It's not like, how do I put this? I want to be very clear about this. It's not like they went down one path because they were like, well, that's what I thought logically, all I could do. But then as they start to go down the one path, so let's just make it very simple and make it like a career concept, right? So maybe they thought they could only be, I don't know, a marketer. I don't know, a marketer, something, what's it called? Neutral, right? No hate to marketers. This isn't a comment towards them. And somewhere along the way, they didn't believe in their ability to become a historical curator, right? And they didn't know if they knew enough or they could know the right person to get a job. You get the gist. And yet when they went down that marketer path, they realized, you know what? I'm going to now walk down the historical path. I didn't think I could accomplish it before, but now I'm going to go down that path, right? Now here's the problem. When they started to go down that other path, this is then when we get the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. This is very clear, in your face, like things aren't working out, like loss of money, and like in a big way. And what I mean by that concept and idea is that like 10 of Pentacles is like generational type of wealth. So we're not looking at the mass amount of the money that's lost, but the domino effect like a generation would be of things not working out towards this path. So maybe they go down this path and they just suddenly, it was more expensive than they thought it was to take the train to the new school that would take them into teaching this historical curation ability. And then maybe they get there and they get the wrong roommate. It's not a good situation for them. And then maybe there's a mix up and the teacher they wanted, that teacher ends up changing and they're still stuck in the same class, but it's not the teacher they wanted, and so on and so forth. It's this feeling of like one thing affecting the other and it just feeling like a dead end, like some form of loss or it not working out. Now, this is not meant to be a fear-based thing. This is just something to pay attention to when we got our complete answer, our, you know, double confirmation of like really spelling it out for you, so to speak, when we have our Knight of Pentacles in reverse. And my spirit guide put it just like really beautifully. They just said, in this particular instance, in this particular question you're asking, if you're seeing these dead ends, it's a dead end. There's going to be a lack of flow as a response to letting you know this is not the flow or the path you're meant to go in. Now, this is, I want to be clear for your question. That doesn't mean, so for example, we had them picking a different career path. That doesn't mean they're not right for that career in the sense of like, that's the wrong career, they're not good enough. Not at all. It's, you're never not good enough for a person, a career, whatever. It's just sort of a not meant to be in the long run. You'd be unhappy. It wouldn't lead to this other thing you'd want. You get the gist kind of thing. So we have the flow not flowing with finances and things like that. We have the Knight of Pentacles who could be upright and have a flow, a steady flow going your way, but she's in reverse saying, hey, it's not working. So the answer to this is no. And it's a very like, don't ignore the synchronicities. They're giving you the answer you're asking. So now let's move on to group number 5. I'm gonna make these cards look a little cuter. Okay, stay still. Does anyone else yell at their cards? Does it ever work for any of you? Okay, let's look at group number 5. We have the Hanged Man in reverse. We have the Judgment card. Give me 1 second, in reverse. Okay. And then we have the 7 of Cups in reverse. Okay. Let me look at this. Okay. This one's kind of funny, and I'll admit, the answer in itself is a little bit confusing, but it is the answer. So, which makes sense when we talk about the idea of confusing when we have the Judgment card. So, this is talking about the idea of like a test happening. Now, when we refer to a test, we're referring to like a test from the universe. So you're kind of constantly being tested by the universe, but sometimes there's the big ones, if you will. It's like, are you going to step up to the plate? Are you going to practice this confidence that you've been wanting to build all along? Things like that. And anyways, this is a confusing one. Sometimes tests are not super obvious, and it just kind of feels like there's chaos happening, if you will. There's sort of a no rhyme or reason as to why things are working out the way they are, to best explain the climate of what's going on via like in the life. So it's like you're like, I don't know why that didn't work out. I don't know why this did work out. I don't know why this came late, or I couldn't quite figure it out in time. It's this feeling of not necessarily purely like failure, like things aren't adding up. It's more just like confusion as to why did one good thing happen and then another thing happen that seemed to displace you. And you feel like you're moving down the right path and then it feels confusing again, type of thing. So with that type of climate going on, we actually have the 7 of Cups, making it feel much more rational. This is you suddenly being aware, being like, okay, so if everything is trying to tell me something, I'm getting a message from the universe, essentially. I'm being given an opportunity to, so to speak, step up to the plate, if you will, with all these different examples and tests going on. I might as well make it simple for myself and take it one step at a time. I'm going to pick an opportunity or a path or a situation. I'm going to exclusively look into it, head that way, whatever feels best, and I'm going to just kind of focus. I'm going to simplify the chaos because that in itself sometimes is the test and example you're learning, the life lesson you're learning, which is you're going to take control by simplifying it. But here's where it gets confusing again. Once you've taken something and you're like, okay, I'm going to focus on it, I'm going to give it my attention in this kind of way, la la la, which is great. The mistake, or not mistake, the way it gets confusing again is in the Hangman in reverse. Once you've made a clear choice and focus and you're simplifying the situation, you end up going a little bit, so to speak, far down a particular path. And then after you've gone so many steps ahead, it's a lot easier to be like, oh, now that I'm deeper into this path, I can see this wasn't the right choice. No big deal. I'll go back and pick another one. So that's okay, but it might take you a couple tries of simplifying the chaos. Oh, wait, I've simplified it. Now that I can see better, I gotta go back and pick another thing, go down that new path a little bit, realize, oh, nope, made another mistake, gotta go back. And it's not so much the mistakes being made, but you just needing to both simultaneously simplify things, but be respective that sometimes it takes starting a new path to gain the insight you need to know if it's even the right path. Sometimes the way we think and make decisions isn't what we have been taught how it's going to work out, which is fine. So this is when we get to basically our answer, which is when it comes to the yes or no, it's actually a maybe. So it's sort of like a, hey, it could go either way, but there's lots of options and room to go about it in an even better way. And you're being given by the universe options and rooms that potentially could be your test, if you will, that you're being given an opportunity to see that you always have options to mess up, rethink, look at things, not even see it as a mistake, and that it could go your way, but if it doesn't, don't worry, just go back, reroute that chaos you were looking at, make a decision again, and move forward again and see how that feels. So now, let's move on to group number, what was this, 5? Oh, did I say this was 4? We're moving on to 6. Okay. Shim that out. Okay, 6. We have 5 of Pentacles in reverse. We have the Star card in reversed. Give me just one moment. And then we have, oh, we have another Star card upright. Remember, I talked about this just a moment ago. When we get repeating cards and repeating cards so close to each other in the same reading, it is a big like, hello, 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 this is important. So just give me 1 second to find out what is important. Oh, this is a classic. Okay. I'm really actually excited to say this one. Um, because within, even though there's one answer, the general concept coming up in the card itself is just like so useful in life. So we have the Star card over here upright representing the kind of the main idea. It's like reinforcing, it's like a confirmation card, if you will. We talk about this in my tarot training course, where it's talking about like the thesis, if you will, of the reading. So it's implying that here's an individual who really knows who they are, they're connected to what that means, and they are just shining. They're really having sort of the world bend to them because they themselves are unbendable because of how well they know themselves, and they understand the importance of that, and they're just like in it, living it, thriving in it. But then in reverse, we have, well, the Star card in reverse. And this is representing this idea of like, you connecting to that idea, or this individual connecting and knowing that that's the answer. That if they just knew who they were and knew what they sort of stood for, their decisions, like really were connected to that, they understand that everything else would come together very smoothly. And that above all others, they understand what the answer is. So there's this intelligence behind the reading itself. Like there's an awareness of where they need to go. But the problem is, if we see over here, this individual is just sort of throwing different things their way, water-wise, and little vases and pails. And they're kind of seeing, so to speak, what sticks, what works, what feels like they do understand themselves better, what connects to them, what makes them shine, and nothing's really working. So it's this frustration of knowing what you need to do, but feeling disconnected in the process of trying to understand what that is. Now, the interesting thing is we get an answer here, which is really great, and sort of a reverse what to do with it kind of situation. In the Five of Pentacles in reverse, we can see that the problem is the mindset of where they're focusing their energy. So yes, on one hand, you think you're focusing on this idea of knowing who you are, but you're actually putting most of your attention unawarely. Like if we were to make a statistics, like add up how much where your thoughts are going in the day, you're technically putting most of your focus in what isn't working. So this could be how you're speaking, this is your actions, this is just your general thought pattern, and you're just constantly thinking, this isn't working, this feels off. You might occasionally think, I know where I need to go, and you do know that's where you mostly want to put your attention, and that's where your goal is. But you're practicing on the focusing of lacking, so it just keeps repeating more of this idea of lacking. So this is then when we get our answer for the reading, which is no. But I would say and argue that because we understand how you can readjust looking at the situation and that you do ultimately know what to do, I would argue that while there is a no, it's almost this feeling of like we could reapproach this with a different mindset and change it to a yes. Let me just double check though with my spirit guides. Oh, my spirit guide said absolutely. Great. Okay, awesome. So I love that. So it's a no, but it's a no that could change. But then again, I'm very much a believer of like, it could always change. You know what I mean? Okay. Then we have group number 7. We've got our Queen of Pentacles. Give me one moment. Queen of Pentacles upright. We have the Hangman in reverse. And we have the Two of Wands in reverse. Let me just look over this. Okay. So sorry. So over here we have the Queen of Pentacles upright. And there is an interesting thing going in all these cards. There's sort of like a theme, if you will, and we'll get to that theme in one moment. In the Queen of Pentacles, she's quite insecure. So she has the skills and she does know what to do with them. And the queen is like the highest compliment. Like queens and kings are like, they know what they're doing. They're masters of their skills. So if you ever get a queen or a king in like a negative light, it's almost like saying either like imposter syndrome or something like, and saying like, you know what you're doing. So we have somebody who does know what they're doing, but there is an insecurity either like in their skills or even in like, I almost get this like general, you know, like nervousness about their abilities, about flexing their abilities. So, like, on one hand, we have people who are just like full on insecure about their skills, but I weirdly get drawn to somebody who's like on some level aware that they can do it, and they're afraid people will think they're bragging just by showing their skills and that they know what they're doing. This is also the same feeling of flexing like money, too. Now, then over here we have the Hangman reverse. And there is just this like total disconnect and lack or like refusal to acknowledge the situation he's in. And because he's not acknowledging it, he's not allowing himself to then go, okay, well, if this is the situation I'm in, how can I get out of it? And that was something important my spirit guide said, is that like he can get out of it, just like she has the skills. And then we have that theme again, and this is the main theme we have on all these cards, is this idea of disconnect, something a little off. In the Two of Wands in reverse, we have an individual who's overplanned. Like he should have gone on his trip a while ago. He knows what he's doing, he's got everything lined up, but now he's just sort of stalling. And the funny thing is, at any point, he can just get it going. He can just go on the trip and do what he needs to do, and all is good. But for whatever reason, he's just like, maybe he wants to just like hang out with his, sweetie a little longer or whatever. So the main problem we have over here is three people who are refusing to or overlooking their skills or refusing to look at their situations, and there's this disconnect going on. And because they're unable to realize that they're doing this, they're not allowing themselves to change their circumstances. So that then comes to our answer, which is no. I will say that while there is a moldability and a mutability here to change the no to a yes, I get a really strong stubborn no, like a feeling of yes, in all of these circumstances there is the opportunity to escape, go on a trip, exercise their skills. It's there. But there is the refusal to let go of the insecurity, to fully acknowledge, to be aware of what they're doing that's holding them back, so to speak. So it's just some food for thought. You can always change even stubbornness, but just something to think about. Kind of gives us like insight on like the other party if your question involves like another party. Okay, so now we have group number 8. We have the Moon card in reverse. 9 of Swords upright. Oh, love 9 of Cups upright. This is like one of my favorite cards. Give me a second to look at this, and I'll be with you in a moment. Ooh, interesting. It's funny. This one, okay, well, we'll get to that in one second. Okay, so in the 9 of Swords upright, we have somebody who is literally imprisoned by their fear. 9 of Swords is traditionally about like anxiety and overthinking thoughts, but you can see they are literally like attached and not letting themselves leave their circumstance. And so with that, obviously they feel like this is where they're at, they're stuck, they're trapped in this mindset. So we have that one perspective going on. But then on the other perspective, it's not just a perspective, it's an option, it's a possibility. It's like you can exercise either one of these thoughts. We have a total 180. In the 9 of Cups, we have an individual who is incredibly open and free. So he receives whatever he's wishing for, because this is like the wish card, a lot better, because he's just not really thinking, compared to this card, thinking too deeply. He's not really worried about the next move or consequences. But he's also open because, as you can tell, he's like pouring a little bit in each cup. He's kind of willing to try anything. And put out all the possibilities. And he wouldn't get hung up if a possibility didn't happen. He just views everything as something for him to interact with and possibly get. And that's where his focus is. He's open, but he's not thinking about it too deeply, and he's ready to receive. And honestly, he has a very high success rate due to both him trying and being open to the possibility of receiving anything. So that's totally two different perspectives of someone feeling trapped and limited and feeling like it's out of their control. We have someone in control, excited, open, happy, low-key, relaxed, totally different stress levels too. But then we have the moon card in reverse, which is really interesting and changes this whole narrative to give us our answer. In the moon card, it talks about this idea that the only thing blocking this individual from being this is them acknowledging what is blocking them and what that exactly means. It's not just feeling like a victim to like, oh no, like, and again, this is not, I'm not implying this towards people who are suffering from this type of mindset. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this is not a person who is thinking like, oh no, this is just what it is. Like, I can never get out. They're like, okay, well, if the thing in my way is thinking I can't get out, so that would be the blockage, what does that say about me that I perceive it that way? And I don't mean jumping to conclusions of seeing yourself as anything harsh, like anything implying weakness, nothing like that. We want to think much more metaphorically. So you would say maybe to yourself like, okay, so if the blockage is thinking of yourself as trapped, you'd be say, oh, so do you think that your fate is in the control of others? So would you say that's the blockage, that you're thinking that what was going to happen to you next is in the control of others? Or did you, maybe the blockage is not realizing you had options and you're just only focusing on what doesn't seem like it's the option? So that's another type of way of viewing the perspective and seeing what it means. But by understanding that blockage, by understanding what it means, suddenly they are just open to receiving, they're open to a lighter mindset, and that is what gives us the answer to this entire reading, which is yes. Which I love. It's a very awesome changing of it all. So this is definitely like a yes, but dig a little deeper and understand why to kind of activate it. It's almost like it's already in progress, so the answer is yes rather than a maybe, but that's part of the process, if you will. Let me just double check with my spirit guides. Very correct. Okay, good. I'm happy to hear that. I hope you enjoyed this reading as a whole, whatever question you are on. I love you all so much. Please leave a like, subscribe, share this video. It means the world to me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Goodbye.